do you use the word pet when you're referring to your animal companions? Please put it in the comments below, yes or no. There's no right or wrong. Just curious. Love to know if you use the word pet when you're referring to your animal companions. And coming up, we're going to be talking about animals as friends, not pets, with Bronwen Logan. So you're going to, please stick around. You're not going to want to miss this. This is just going to be such a fun discussion, and I can't wait to hear your questions. And if you're new, because we got a lot of new people, please write new in the comments, because I'd love, love, love to meet you. And if you don't know me, my name is Janet Dobbs of Animal Paradise Communication and Healing, where my greatest joy and pleasure is to help you discover your unique way of receiving communication from animals. And let's just get right to it with our special guest, Bronwen Logan from, I can't believe this, so it's like I'm speechless. She's from Australia, from outside of Sydney, Australia, in the mountains, just west of Sydney, Australia. So I'm just grateful Bronwen's here because it's tomorrow there. So we get to see what tomorrow is going to be like. Bronwen is the co-founder of the International House of Reiki. She's the co-author of the Reiki Source Book, The Japanese Art of Reiki, Your Reiki Treatment, and the writing and voice behind meditation CDs published by Sounds True. Bronwen teaches all levels of the system of Reiki, as well as giving special classes, including animal Reiki and women's retreats. So welcome, Bronwen. I'm so happy to see you. Yay. I'm just really, thank you for being here. Thank you for joining us so early in the morning there, and it's, evening here.
Well, it's a beautiful morning tomorrow, so you're very lucky. The sun is rising and it's orange and gorgeous, so yes, nice. Very beautiful.
Yeah. So I can't wait to tell me about your thoughts of about the topic we picked, or you picked actually, about the word pets and our animals and our animal companions.
Yeah, I was thinking when you asked me, and I thought, well, what is it that probably stands out the most for me? And it's just a really simple, common thing about animals, that, how we interact with animals. And so often we do that as as thinking of ourselves as humans and as them as animals. And the funny thing is that we're all animals. So if we're all animals, then what makes them our pets? Yeah. And for me, it means that we're all on a par, and we're all here to work together, respect each other, look after each other. And it's a natural thing of the way that the world works, that it's like a flower, even that a flower is beautiful, therefore we look after it, and then it gets to continue to grow. And it's the same as animals. They when we're with them, we feel good in ourselves. There's so many beautiful things about being with animals, and because we feel that, we also look after them. So we have this sort of symbiotic relationship, I guess.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, I think it's so important. Many, many years ago, when I started learning about animal communication, my teacher said, don't use the word pet, because people associate that with ownership, like a pet is a possession and not a living being with all that comes with them. And so I've always thought about that ever since then. There's so much to it. So all of the things that you just mentioned are just so important.
Yeah. And, I work with, as do you as well, with the system of Reiki. And, if we look at that, it's a Japanese practice. And I love the, original ideas of like the cosmological ideas of in Japan of how the world started. And you have the heavens and you have the earth, and they come together, and in the middle, now we often say in the middle, when they came together, humanity was created. But in fact, animals were created, is the idea behind that. So living things were created, and we are all a part of that, and we're all a blending of this universe. So we are a mixture of the heavens and the earth inside of us as well. And that's the same with animals. It's, all animals. And so if that's the case, then we all actually are a part of the universe together. And there is no difference. You can see with animals that they can have trauma, or the same as human beings. They go through things in the same way that we go through things, and they also experience healing in the same way that we experience healing. So there is no reason for us to put them at a different level. And I know when I grew up, ideas around this have changed enormously over the last just probably 20 years. But when I was a kid, there was very much like, I was brought up as a Catholic. And, one of the things that I could not understand was that they used to say to me things like, at school, like, animals, they don't go to heaven. And I found that incredibly distressing, because, you're brought up with this idea that, when I was young, and I was, believed in what I was being told, I guess, so, the idea that I would go to heaven, but that the animals wouldn't. I actually don't know if the church has changed its stance on that. I have a feeling they might be a little more flexible on that one somehow. But, but I know I had a very sick dog once, Sophie, and she had mouth cancer, and she was heavily traumatized, rescue dog, and we actually took her to a Buddhist ceremony, and they do like special blessings for animals. And that was really beautiful, because there was some sort of validation of, as much as for you, as much as for me, we all can have healing. And by that, I don't mean that, that the cancer was going to go away, but there's that, traumatic healing, from trauma, and that she could feel a lot better in herself, in the same way that we also experience that. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Yeah. So we have a few little comments from people. So, Elizabeth said,
my babies.
yeah. My girls and my boys.
Very
Isn't
much
that
so,
sweet?
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And that in itself is that idea of symbiosis, or that we look after each other, because that is it with babies as well. Babies are produced that they look the way they are, and they do the things that they are to make us want to look after them.
Yeah.
Funnily enough, right? Yeah. And they need to be looked after in order to grow. And so that's a nice analogy. I like it.
Yeah. So Sherry said, this is a lot, but she said that, she about the church and about if the Pope did mean that all animals go to heaven, then animals have a soul. So I know there's a big debate about that. I've had that debate. Many of us have with other people that say
we're all animals,
don't. Right? Exactly. So, but there are people that believe, and just like you were saying, as a child, how traumatic to think that here's somebody we love more than anything sometimes, our animal companions, our dogs, our cats, our bunnies, our horses, whatever. And that if we believe that there is life after life, then why wouldn't they be with us,
Yeah, it's interesting.
So I don't understand that at all.
I'm not on an anti-church thing.
No, I'm not either. So I didn't mean to get off there. Didn't mean to, and I appreciate that. But, I think it's important to yeah, not wanting to get definitely into the religion of any kind. But I think that's one of the things that I really liked about the system of Reiki and also about animal communication is we get to see other beings, all life as one. We're not separate. We're all one together. I mean, you teach that so beautifully, that we're all one. So of course, all of our animals are part of us.
That's right. And so I don't use the word pets, but generally I sort of say, I'll say things like my friends, my animal friends, or something like that. And I live with a lot of different animals. So I've got probably the most unusual one is my pig, whose name is Flora. Yeah, and she's about, how old is she? She's 11, going on 12, and she's probably taught me a lot about this idea as well, because when you're what I find with all the different animals, so I've got cats and dogs and horses and chickens and ducks and things like that. So but what I find with animals is that we need to make way for them in our lives rather than them making way for us. And that's where that idea of pets and friends, yeah? So if they're a friend, then it's like if they're not happy with something, yeah, then you help that friend and you make a way for that friend to whatever you can do, you do that. So for example, I got a new rescue dog and she didn't like my cats very much, or two of my cats. So I turned a room into a cat room that could be accessed by the cats, right? But not by the dog. So the cats had somewhere to go that they could feel safe, and they could come out when they wanted to, and when the dog's not around, or so always trying to find ways to help them to be happy. And the same way that we would for anybody else, right? And so, for my pig Flora, she just roams free around the place,
nice.
And most people are used to seeing pigs in sties, But the thing is, pigs are incredibly clean. Yes. And, I had her from when she was a little baby, and I had her in the house when she was a little baby because she was like a puppy dog in that sense. She was little and she could use the doggy door, and she would never, ever go to the toilet in the house, So she would go out perfectly house trained. I didn't have to house train her. She just didn't want to go to the toilet where she lived, right? And if you think about it, if you stick a pig in a sty, where do they go to the toilet?
Right.
Right. You're not thinking about, you're not making them comfortable, you're not making them happy. Yeah. So even though, even some people who have them as pets, and don't eat them, and they put them in a sty, it's still not great. That pig needs space and she needs to be able to roam. And the other thing is, they say, oh, pigs dig everything up. Well, my pig doesn't dig everything up, and it's because she's got enough space, right? So she can roam, and so somewhere here she might do a little snuffle or there, but there is enough food for her. But people put these rings around their noses, and the reason why they do that is because it actually hurts them when they dig. So it's to stop them from digging. So you're creating pain for this animal so that you can have a beautiful garden. Well, the thing is, if you've got an animal as a pet, a pig as a pet, but the truth is that don't put a pig in a small space, right? Give it more space and then that won't happen. It's that working together and sharing this world together. Yeah. Not you're here for me, right? And that's that.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's definitely, how I approach being with my animal friends. Yeah. Yeah.
So Elizabeth says that you're so lucky to have so many animals, especially, Flora. Yeah. And then,
I know.
It's like,
it's so beautiful, isn't
happy
it?
Friends.
Keeping them happy.
Happy friends.
And, if they're happy, I'm happy. You know, it's this whole
Yes.
thing.
Yeah.
Like we practice in the system of Reiki, you know, be compassionate to yourself and others.
Yes.
And that thing is, if I'm compassionate to myself, then I'm feeling good about myself. And I'm more likely to be compassionate to others then as well. Yeah. And so we have always this domino effect of loving kindness passing through, you know. So if I'm horrible to someone, then they're going to feel pretty awful, and probably the next person that they see, they're not going to be that nice to. So, you know, because they're going to feel like,
right.
So we want to really keep that domino effect of loving kindness happening in the world, and it's not just between humans.
Right. And also when we act in that kind, compassionate way towards any other, whether it's our own animal companions or wild ones or other people's, you know, animal companions or any other being, they respond in kind. So if we're
Exactly.
because animals do reflect us, so our own animals reflect us. So if we're in a really bad mood, they might be acting kind of funny, and you're like, why are you acting weird? You know, why are you like tearing the the pillow apart? It's like, oh, I've been really upset for like about a week. Oh, okay. So yeah. I mean, that's so true. You know, about the precepts and how they apply to the animals and us, and how we all kind of come together.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. So,
what else would you like to chat about?
I'll tell you what. I am going to. I'm really excited about. So I'm going to let everybody know about your little special offer. That. So just for you guys, Bronwyn has created this really special offer. Do you want to share about it, Bronwyn?
Yeah. Look, I just made a little meditation. Just a small little meditation that I made out in the garden. I was going to do it with Flora, but I couldn't find her around the place, so she must have been off wandering somewhere. And then I was going to do it with the chickens, and then my cat came along, Precious, who's like this tiny little cross-eyed cat dog, and she told the chickens to bugger off or to leave, right? And she said, "I'm doing this." So I did a little meditation of interconnectedness with animals, and that thing of just really going into that lovely interconnected space that I was just talking about before. So really feeling the earth, feeling connected to the earth, and knowing that we are a part of this earth, and then connecting to the heavens and really feeling that we are a part of the sky. And then just really sitting in that space in between. And when we do, we have this beautiful sense of openness at the heart. And when we sit in that lovely, balanced, calm space, we can bring our animals into it with us. And you know, if they're with us, they're naturally there, obviously, but we can consciously do that. So we can consciously think about an animal. It may not be an animal that's with us. It might be an animal that's already, you know, died, or it could be an animal that, you know, is in another space. But just focusing on that animal and visualizing that animal, or just being in that space with an actual animal, and allowing that sense of beautiful calmness and clearness and balance to be a part of everything that you and the animal exist in together. And that's a real healing space. It's a space of wholeness and completeness.
Yeah. And just to let everybody know, I'm sorry.
Sharing that together. Yeah.
It didn't mean to step on you.
Yeah, sharing that together.
But just to let everybody know, I listened to it. It's absolutely beautiful. It's video. It's free. You can find it in the link in the description below, or on the side, or wherever the description is on whatever you're viewing.
It's just for you guys.
Yes. So very special. You guys are the only ones that have access to that. Bronwyn created it specially for you, and I did get to see your roly-poly kitty and and the daffodils. So for those of us that are in the northern hemisphere, we're going into fall. So you have these beautiful yellow daffodils in the background. So I think you guys are going to really love that too. Okay. And so being heart-centered is so important. The animals are always heart-centered. Yeah, thanks.
Naturally.
Thanks
That's
for that.
so true.
That's so beautiful.
And we need a reminder, and they tend not to, interestingly enough, right?
That's a
So
good
we're the ones
point.
who get up into our heads and we get really, too heavy up here. So
Yeah.
bringing that down into the body and really sensing that complete sense of
Mm-hmm.
wholeness and balance, feeling that line through the body of giving us that gravity and connectedness to the
Yes.
earth. It's really beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah, and you notice like as soon as you just did that, you made that motion, I took a breath
Mm.
and I just went, oh,
Yeah.
and
Brings you down.
my voice dropped and it's like, oh, thank you, Bronwyn. I needed that. Yeah, so
Yeah.
you all are going to really, really enjoy this. So thank you so much for this very special treat for us. Yeah. Yeah, so please feel free to write any questions that you have for
Yeah.
Bronwyn, or for us, but especially for Bronwyn in the comments below, because this is a really unique opportunity to be able to be live with Bronwyn and with us. And let's see, here's something. So that's why I love animals, because of their raw love in the heart space.
In the heart space.
That's so
Yeah.
beautiful. That's so
Yeah.
beautiful. Yeah. Yeah, and I feel like,
Mm.
when we connect to animals in a different way, like you said, like, no, you're thinking them as our friends. And I always use the word animal companion instead of pet. So, it changes everything. And they feel that too, don't you? Haven't you noticed? I mean, when we use those different words, they feel the energy of the words. They might not say the word out loud, but they definitely, respond to the energy behind the words.
Yeah, absolutely. And words are really powerful, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what they mean.
Yes,
Actually,
very powerful.
yeah. Anyway, but yeah. So just being in that, it's also our actions, obviously, too, and you feel like animals are natural Reiki healers. Yeah, I mean, animals can be as messed up as we are, in all
That is so
honesty.
true.
To some
Yes.
degree, do you know what I mean?
Right.
I mean, the things that you see animals having to go through and experience in life, it's the same as us. We go through things and we experience different things that we can hold on to or not. And sometimes animals need the support the same as we need the support to let go of things that we hold on to that we shouldn't carry around. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, there is that we can help them and they can help us. So I think, that comment in that sense is very true, that, in fact, I was talking about being a kid, one of my favorite memories as a child is sitting with my dog and, just sharing that love together and total open-heartedness that we could have together. And that's really special.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I believe, that it's so special. And I feel like, life changes, like, if we learn from them as well as them learning from us. And sometimes, just like we humans can be on this life journey side by side, we can be side by side with the animals too. And sometimes it's really nice for them to show us the way. Sometimes we show them, but it really changes everything when we open and learn from them, because they have so much to teach us. Not that either one of us is perfect in any way, shape, or form, but we're on this beautiful path of life, and it has bumps in the road, and we can support each other.
We're sort of imperfectly perfect, actually, I think.
I like that.
So we all have these little dents, and but in all honesty, we are this. That's what we practice as well, isn't it? That we are this beautiful, great, bright light, and we shine, and animals shine, but we do put stuff over that, and that's when we shine less. So remembering that beautiful truth of who we are, and that, as you say, we help animals to get over their things so that they can be that beautiful light that they are, and they help us to get over our stuff so that we can be the light that we are. And a world without animals would be incomprehensible.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, I wouldn't want to live in a world without animals.
No, there is something about we definitely, I mean, humans are great,
yes.
and humans need humans. But there's something special about animals. And I know a lot of people say, it's like there's a lack of judgment, often from an animal perspective. We don't feel judged by our animal friends. They seem to want to really be with us. And that is something that we don't often experience, I guess, from sometimes from our own friends,
Right.
So yeah, I mean, everybody has issues, and so that love that we can experience from animals is that thing that you were talking about before, that we can learn a lot from them.
Yeah, so we have a comment. Somebody said they can't imagine life without animals. And then another comment is, yes, and they love unconditionally. I mean, I hesitate to always make a blanket statement because there's always that exception to the rule. But, for the most part, they can be more forgiving than us. And it's I'm just always learn from them so much about life and what life has to offer. As far as life's lessons, the big stuff of life. Yeah. So we're getting kind of to the bottom of the hour. If anybody has any, this was really sweet. So one comment was, animals are my closest friends. This is really sweet.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they can be, they really can be for many of us. So
yeah, I think that is, what you were just saying before, just briefly, I think that is a bit of a challenge, that idea of, that we can idealize them too much in a way. That's true, but they are animals like us.
Yeah.
And so they also have that imperfect perfectness.
Right. And they also have their unique, the imperfect perfectness. I love that. And also their uniqueness. So they have different species, and so there's those uniquenesses because of the bodies that they're in. We're working with this body, and they're working with their bodies. But somehow many of us have come together, and it's just remarkable. As you know, you have so many different kinds of animals. I mean, it must be so fun to live where you live.
I'm pretty free and easy, and let them sort of do what they want to do, because, like I said, I believe in them having the right to live their life how they want to live their life.
Absolutely. Yeah, if we can make that possible within reason, to make sure that they're safe, and that it's and that of course we're safe. But I mean, it's just we could talk about this for a long time. There's so much depth to this topic.
You can go quite into it deeply, because that it is. It's a very philosophical question. I think a lot of people have tried to talk about it over the centuries, and I don't think anyone. I think it's it depends what direction you're coming from as to what you will think about it and how you will see it. Because some philosophers, for example, have said that animals not human. The animals are not humans. And I mean, legally also there is this thing that animals, that we're not legally, human beings are not considered animals.
That's very strange too.
And it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. But it's to get out, it means so that we can misuse animals, basically, because we don't have to treat them as humans. So there is, there's a lot of legal cases going into trying to get animals as accepted as having personhood, if you like. Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, and I think you're talking about the legality, and I'm sure in different countries the laws are different, but I think it's so they become property. Legally, there are property. Legally, they're not, and I don't know. Do we say the same thing about our children or our relatives? We have, you could be legally married, but I don't know that our child is our legal property, maybe our legal responsibility. But that's another topic, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, let's see. We do have. There's a sweet comment. So, they're talking about looking into the eyes, and there are people that don't believe, but when you look in their eyes, it's like, what is your experience? Not what somebody else tells you. That's what I always have to ask, because I know what my experience is, and but I don't want to get into all the politics and all of that the legalities of that. Just kind of having our own experience with our animals. Yeah. So I just want to thank you so much for being with us, Bronwyn. And if people want to get in touch with you, they can go to the www.ihreiki.com, and anything else, like how, if somebody wanted to contact you, what's the best way beside anything different besides this website?
Yeah, there's my email.
Okay.
Yep. I've got a couple of them, but there's Bronwyn at ihreiki.com, and Bronwyn is Bronwen. And Bronwyn at ihreiki.com is probably the easiest way for people to grab me if they do. And I'd be happy to, answer any emails or thoughts that you might have on this subject. Or any subject relating to Reiki.
Oops.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So, so thank you so much for being with us. I so appreciate it, and talking about this topic. And I hope you come back to the Animal Lovers Cafe sometime soon. We would love for you to join us and
come and have a cup of tea.
Yes. A proper cup of tea. I don't know. So thank you again. And, I just love you so much. So I'm so happy to spend some time with you and talk about one of our favorite topics, animals, and also the system of Reiki and all of that. So thank you so much. And for those of you that are, please come back next week. We'll be here every week here in the Lovers Cafe, and just play a little music and say goodbye. And thank you so much, Bronwyn. Thank you, everybody, for joining us, and we'll be checking the comments afterwards. So thank you. Bye-bye,
Thanks,
everybody.
Guys. See ya.
Bye.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.